I'm Laura Ann. Join our family while we explore Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, and have some fun adventures. Hi guys. I'm coming to you from our mechanical room because the kids are still sleeping. River's gone to work, and it's too dark in the living room to film anything unless I turn the lights on, but since we're all sleeping in one big room right now, turning the lights on would probably wake the boys up. So, hi from the mechanical room, which is where our washer and dryer are currently living till we get a bathroom done upstairs. Trace graduated last June from high school, and we told him we wanted to take him on a trip for his graduation gift. We had thought that he would maybe pick like a climbing trip or something like that, because those are the kind of trips we'd usually been taking. Usually when we go on vacation, we do something pretty active, canoe camping trips and rock climbing and camping trips. And that's usually the type of thing that we do. But Trey said he wanted to go to a basketball game, and he was like, well, we'll just go to a Celtics game. But he's been to Celtics games before. And I was like, we want to make it a little more exciting for you. So why don't you pick a game that you really want to go to, that has players that you really want to see that you haven't seen before. So he ended up finding this game with the Mavericks and the Oklahoma Thunder. It was during vacation for him, so it was perfect. And so we took basically a 5-day vacation and went to Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. This fantastic trip that was so different from any of the other trips that we usually take. We stayed at a hotel. We ate out a lot. We did go to Whole Foods and get some snacky things and breakfast for River and I. The hotel had breakfast, like a continental breakfast almost, that the kids could eat, but I have celiac. I can't eat any of that stuff, and River also doesn't really eat gluten, so the kids could eat it, but River and I couldn't. So anyway, we had this really fantastic trip. We had a lot of fun, and we thought we'd share, even though it's not the kind of trip that we usually take. We all had a great time at the basketball games, and it was really fun to experience that with Trace because he really loves basketball. So this was a great trip that we took, and all of us have said that we would enjoy doing a trip like this again. It was, however, more expensive than our other trips. Just to give a little point of reference, about 2 years ago, in that same time frame around April, we took a 3-week trip out west, and we did camp. We stayed at a lot of national parks and that sort of thing, and we did rock climbing all over the place. And this trip that we went to Oklahoma City was about 3/5 as expensive for 5 days. It wasn't even 5 full days. It was like 4.5 days as that trip, which was 3 weeks long. So this was much more expensive than our usual trips. But we had a lot of fun, and it was great. And we went and did some experiences that we don't normally do. So it was a great graduation trip for Trace, and all of us had a good time. We drove to Boston to start this adventure. So River dropped us all off at the airport, and then he went to park the car. You had to get a parking spot off the airport property. It was about a mile away, but there was no way to walk from there. So then River had to get an Uber, but it took him about a half hour to go from the airport to the parking location at 5 o'clock in the morning. It was an adventure within itself. We got to Oklahoma City at about 11:30, and we picked up our rental car, and then we drove to get some lunch because we were all really hungry. And we went to a place called Cattleman's Steakhouse. It is the oldest continuously running restaurant in Oklahoma, and I think it had been around since 1910 or 1920. It was a pretty neat place. but I did feel like the food portions were a little bit small. You just got like steak and a potato or steak and some veggies. It was a little bit small. Then we went across the street to a place called Langston's because Arden wanted to look at cowboy hats. So he tried on some cowboy hats and we had to look around. There were so many cowboy boots. I have never seen so many cowboy boots in one place. It was really fun to look around and see what different locations offer, different areas of the country offer for those sorts of things. Then we went back to the hotel and went swimming. Thursday night, we went to a Blues versus the Maine Celtics basketball game. This was something that just popped up as an opportunity because the two teams were playing for the G League championship. Trace was really excited to go. I mean, how cool was it that we went on a trip to Oklahoma and we got to see a Maine team play? That was really neat. And when I was going to buy tickets, I looked in my email. Since I'd bought tickets for the Oklahoma Thunder game, I got an email and it offered us 4 free tickets for this game. So I went ahead and I got those free tickets and I was able to buy another one for $10. So going to this game cost us $10. It was really fun. The younger boys had never been to any sort of like professional type basketball game. So it's quite an experience for them. Although Soren didn't last very long. He fell asleep, I think after the first quarter. And then River fell asleep. I mean, we'd got up really early. Unfortunately, the Maine Celtics lost. We had a fantastic time watching the game, though. The next morning, we got up and the boys went swimming. And then we went to Honeylee Ranch, which was about a half hour or so away from the hotel. And we took a trail ride. This is the first time that River, Trace, and I have been on a horse. At least for me, I'd been on a pony when I was like 6. I don't think that counts. The little guys had ridden on a horse, but never by themselves. They'd just done one where they were being led. So this was a really new experience for all of us, and it was so fun. The people at the ranch were really, really nice. And we had a fantastic time. It was so good that as soon as we were done, Soren said, "Can we come back this afternoon and go again? Can we come back tomorrow?" Like, we really had a great time on this. This was 100% worth it. When we got back to Bricktown in Oklahoma City, which is where our hotel was, we walked to a place called Abuelo's for lunch. It was a Mexican restaurant. It was pretty good. The portions were good size. Soren came home and Arden with extra food to eat later that night. So that was nice. And then we went to Brickopolis, which was also within walking distance, and we played mini golf, which was really fun. River had never played mini golf before, and he actually won. Trace is really good at mini golf. He plays a lot, and I was surprised that River won. Saturday morning, we went to a store called Cavender's. It's kind of like a local store. There were a lot of them in many places in the area, and they sold cowboy hats and cowboy boots and, cowboy shirts and that sort of thing. We decided that the cowboy hats were something that we did want to do. Arden really wanted one. So we went ahead and got our heads all measured, and then you try on hats until you find one that you feel fits the shape of your head. So that was fun. We had a really good time trying on hats. Everybody left pleased with their purchases. And I have to say, I've always wondered, how does a cowboy hat stay on? Well, they stay on because you get a pretty tight fitting hat so that it doesn't blow off your head. And the wind does blow quite a bit there. So you definitely need to have a tight-fitting hat. We had been planning on going to a calf roping competition on Saturday. When we were getting our cowboy hats, the person who helped us out said, "Oh, you should really go to a rodeo." So we looked around. We tried to go to one rodeo, but by the time we got there, the morning events were over. So we found another rodeo that was actually closer to the hotel in Yukon. It was called the Canadian County Cowboy Church and Rodeo Home Show. So it was a combination of a home show and a rodeo. So we bought tickets and we went and had some food at a restaurant called Billy Sims. Billy Sims was a recommendation from the waitress we had the first day at the Cattleman's Steakhouse. She was from the area and she said, oh, everybody goes to Billy Sims. It was a barbecue place. It was pretty good. They did a good job with my celiac and being extra careful, changing gloves and all of those things to make sure there wasn't any contamination for my food. And I really appreciated that. Then we went to the rodeo. It was a long rodeo. It was from 6 to 9 o'clock. I think we left. It was after 9. While we were waiting for the rodeo to start, we got to talk to one of the clowns. His name was Big Joe. He was really nice, and he was really big. He was a very tall man. And he was totally at home with all the bulls in the pen, and he like jumped right in the pen with them, and he was telling us about his job. He's been doing this for 9 years, and he really loves it. It was quite an experience watching these guys. I definitely do not want to be a cowboy, and I don't know how these people do this because they take some major abuse on their bodies when they get thrown off of these animals. We went to a restaurant called the Wedge, which was within walking distance of the Hampton Inn that we were staying at in Bricktown. The food there was so good. We had such a nice meal, and it was not very expensive. It was one of the least expensive places that we ate at on our entire trip. I would have gone back there for sure if we'd been staying longer. Sunday was game day. It was the entire reason that we came to Oklahoma City in the first place, to watch the Oklahoma Thunder play the Dallas Mavericks. This was Trace's graduation gift. He picked this game out of any game he could have chosen during the entire year so that he could see Luka Doncic play against the Thunder. He said the Thunder is one of his favorite teams to watch because they're just a lot of fun on the court. They do a really great job, and Luka Doncic is one of his top 3 favorite players. We had a really fun time at the game itself. It was the first professional basketball game that River and myself and Arnold Soren had ever been to. It was fun to experience the crowd and the excitement. It was really great. They did a really nice job, and they brought a bag to Trace during the game with a few gifts in it to celebrate his graduation. So that was really fun. I had called to see if I could get like a meet and greet with some of the players because of part of his graduation gift. They said they don't do that. We were able to come early, and Trace did get a signature from Jalen Williams, number 8, one of his favorite players on the Thunder. So that was fun. The only disappointing thing about this game was that Luka Doncic did not end up playing. The Mavericks actually didn't play like 7 of their top players. So that was a little disappointing. It was still a great game, and it was still really fun to watch, but it was one of the reasons that Trace had picked this game to go to, and so that was a little disappointing. That night, River and I went out to a place called Rodeo's Grill, which was right across the street from the hotel. And Trace and the boys stayed at the hotel and went swimming and ate takeout from a place called The Garage. They had hamburgers and onion rings. They said it was pretty good. River and I went to a place called Rodeo's Grill, which was a Brazilian grill. They came around with 13 different kinds of meat to your table. It was good, but I don't know if I would spend that much money for something like that again. I actually enjoyed my meal at the Wedge earlier that day, for which the price was like less than a quarter of what we spent at the grill. Overall, this was a really great trip. We all had a lot of fun. It was very different from the trips we usually take, where we're usually camping and climbing and things like that. But it was a lot of fun, and even River just the other day said, wow, that was a pretty fun trip that we took to Oklahoma to go see the basketball games. And this is from a guy who doesn't really watch sports or anything. So overall, I think it was a great trip and something we would want to do again. If you want more recommendations on places to go with kids, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you soon.